Welcome to Best Life 30, your 30-day journey to creating the best life possible for yourself. You can watch just this video, or if you want to sign up for the whole series for free and get the bonus companion worksheets that go along with this video, check out the link in the description below. All right, so today is bonus day number 5, and we're going to learn how to improve our relationships.
We've been together a long time that I feel like we need to spice things up. Any suggestions on how to keep the excitement alive in a long-term relationship? Speaking to the microphone. What's your recommendation on how to get the mic so we can hear this?
You know what?
I would say both ears.
I would say
you do costumes.
No, I don't do costumes. You know, once
schoolgirl.
Oh my God. Once I tried.
Do you play nurse and he plays bad doctor?
No.
Okay.
Once I tried this. This is so many years ago, and I got the whole negligee thing, and I'm standing at the stairs when he comes in, and he literally comes in. Stedman walks right past me and says, "What are you doing?"
I got one better. Wrap myself up with saran wrap.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. When I was married, put on the trench coat. He came out and went, ta-da! And he went, "What is that?" So that's not good for your ego. So what's our question? What's our answer, Oprah, about spicing things up? Because I hear the young people today want to spice things up.
So I would say, ask him what would be spicy, because
That
you
is
can be
very good
standing
advice.
there
Yeah.
in a
Saran wrap.
or you could be,
Your nurse outfit.
wrapping yourself up as a pretzel, doing calisthenics.
You can get limber. Yeah.
You could get limber, and he's like, "What is that?" So you'd say, what would be the sexiest thing
That
for
I
you-
could do.
that I could do, or what really turns you on? For me, I gotta say, making cornbread kind of serves the purpose. I made some cornbread yesterday, and you would have thought I stripped myself buck naked. Like a little cornbread and black eyed peas goes a long way in my house.
There you go.
Sleeping together on the first date, yes or no?
No.
No.
Oprah, are we old?
No.
Because
Well, we are old, but
why buy the cow when he can get the milk for free? Not that we're cows, I'm not saying that, but I just think it changes the dynamic if a guy knows you'll sleep with him on the first date. Now, if you ask guys, they say that they don't judge you if you sleep on the first date. I think they do.
we sound very old.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We're not old, we're just experienced.
Yeah.
If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a purpose for your relationship, and pretty much anything, it's like, if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a place that you're going, something that you want to accomplish, something you want to do, you can really get lost in the murk of the journey.
There has to be a vision for...
There has to be a vision, right?
Yes. Right.
So why are we together? It's like, I mean, you fine, but as an answer for why two spirits would join together and decide to travel this perilous journey of life together, fine, or you can cook, or you keep the house protected, that's really not enough. There's so much more that you have to be dedicated to.
Wow.
To
That is so true.
together.
So what is the bigger vision for your marriage? What is the bigger...
Well, we had to figure that out because we're two big beings that came together.
Yes.
And I had my vision and he had his. And so we had to join it. And so we decided...
You just do what she say.
Yeah, basically. That's the vision.
Yeah. No, but I really want to hear.
Right.
I really want to hear.
So once we started to see how the children were growing, and, Willow and Jaden and Trey, with how they were becoming their own beings, we decided, okay, we want to make a family business. How do we incorporate all the talent that we have in this family? Right. So that's our vision, to create a place where their dreams can come true and our extended family's dreams can come true as well.
What I found in my life for years, I had a relationship with someone who was a great lady, and we had tons of love, but very little passion, and I wanted more passion. But I didn't understand what the triggers were. I didn't understand the differences in values and rules. I didn't know how to shift anything. Nobody teach you this. And so I'd be in this experience where it's like, wow, I remember being on stage vividly in a room that would have been my ultimate years before. It was at the Continental Center in New York City. There were 13,000 people in the room, 12,000 something hundred, almost 13,000 people. And I was doing my gig, and we were rocking. Like what we're doing here with 5,000, imagine 13,000. And we were going full tilt with a level of intensity. It was unbelievable, and people were out of their mind. And during one of the stretch breaks, one of my partners came up and told me my company had gone public that morning, and that's the morning where my stock alone was worth $400 million. So he's Tony, you just made $400 million this morning while you're doing what you love. And I was like, good morning. You know, it was a great morning. But you know what was interesting? It was really great. It was like, wow, that's wonderful. And then what I really want to do is get right back into what I loved. It didn't, like it was a cool thing, but it didn't change my life. But the biggest thing is the end of that night, I'm connecting people, high-fiving, signing, hugging people, and it's just a beautiful day. And I get home, and I'd made $400 million. I've been with almost 13,000 people. I'd done what I loved. I was on fire and alive, and I went home, and I was miserable. Because when I went home, the person I was with wanted me to be something different than what I was. Kind of like, that's why I understood Sarah May. Sarah May was trying to be something she thinks people want or people are expecting from her, but it's not her. So the person I was in a relationship with, when she met me, he's like, God, he's unbelievable. He's this powerful force of nature. He can shake a building with people and move people. And then it was like, why are you so loud? I was like, loud? This is me. Right? And so what I learned to do was be something different that I really wasn't. And so when you're being something you're not, you're miserable. Who knows what I'm talking about here? Say I. And I'm such a lover. I love people. I never want somebody to not be happy. So I would always sacrifice everything to try to make somebody happy, but by not being who I was. There was nothing wrong with her. I was just miserable because I didn't understand the game. When I finally figured this process out, and by the way, guess how I did it? I interviewed people. I had a couple guy was 92, woman's 89, came to my Date with Destiny seminar, and these two were physically all over each other all the time. I mean, so much so it was like, get a room. I mean, this is hard to watch, right? And everybody in the whole seminar noticed it, so I finally brought them on stage and interviewed them. Shit, they're young punks in their 60s. So I bring this 92-year-old man, this 89-year-old woman up, and I said, I gotta interview you guys. So I'm interviewing them, I said to him, I said, tell me something. I said, you two seem to not just love each other, you love each other. And they went, oh yeah. I mean, you're rather physical, aren't you? They said, oh yes, we love to be together. I said, and you guys have intimate relations? Oh yes, every day. Every day? Sometimes several times a day, the woman says. No exaggeration. And they were so adorable, and they were all of each other, hugging each other, grabbing each other, touching each other. And I said to him, I said, okay, there are a lot of people that think when you're together 3, 4, 5, 10 years, there's nothing new. They said, nothing new. They just aren't being flexible enough. They're not trying new things. I said, well, tell me something. What's your belief about, how do you stay intimate? The woman says, well, you can't just talk. You got to touch. And she said, touch lots of things. And she's so adorable. And so I said, so you guys have this passion all the time? Yeah. And I said, what's your belief? And he said, well, we believe that it's never boring because we believe there's nothing ugly between two people who love each other, nothing dirty between two people who love each other. She said, yeah, here's our rule. We try anything once, and if we like it, we do it again. So I spent 5 years interviewing people who've been together 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they don't just have love, they have passion. They're not hanging out, they love each other, and it changed the game for me. And the biggest change in my life, I would give up everything in my life without no exaggeration, no hyperbole, everything I've ever learned, everything I've ever done for the relationship I have with my sage. She has been I'd die for this woman, no exaggeration, but I couldn't have gotten to that place if I hadn't been through all those other places first. And the gift that I've got in that area is a gift you deserve. And anybody can have it. You could be with somebody together for 10 years and you could reignite it because you just didn't know the triggers. Or some of you may find that you're in a relationship where truthfully, you are nothing in common. You're just scared shitless to end it because you're afraid of being alone. But there's a way to do this in a way where things can be elegant, but you can be free and you can bring to your life what you deserve. I tell people one thing. If you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not happy. Because I don't give a shit how hard you work. I don't care how much money you make, how many trophies you get. In the end, if you don't have that aliveness and passion, a part of you is dead inside.
My husband has a line that I always quote because it's not all why I married him, but it's a lot of why I married him is this line. He said, a woman's place is in the kitchen, with her feet up, drinking a glass of wine, watching her husband cook her a meal.
Jesus, where is that quote? Where is that?
And that's
A
my
woman's
favorite.
place is
in the kitchen with her feet up, drinking a glass of wine,
watching her husband cook her
a meal. And that's it. I come home and he loves to cook, and I sit down, and this is why, like, it almost makes me want to cry, but he'll just stand there and he'll be like, I'm gonna make a big curry, because he loves to do these big mama's cooking things. He's Brazilian, but his mother was Italian, so he loves like the big slow cooking. And then
You've got to invite me to your house.
Open up a glass of wine. Oh, you are welcome. And he'll pour me a glass of wine and he'll say, now, darling, tell me everything. What happened today? What happened today? Tell me. And I'll just sit there with my feet. I'm like, how did I win this life?
Wow.
How did I win this life? And I was talking about this with a friend, and she said, because you blossomed into the sort of person who attracted a man like that. And you learned how to treat yourself so well on your own that when someone came along who treated you well, you finally recognized what that feels like because you've been doing it to yourself the whole time.
Hallelujah.
So I noticed him. I was like, oh, he treats me the way I treat me now. So yeah, let's go.
Here's the thing about running away from your problems, running away from your past. Have you ever noticed that when you run away, it tends to follow you? You know, I used to have this problem in relationships. And the reason why I had this problem is because I was a very unhappy person. I didn't like myself truly as a person until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I spent, as sad as this is, I spent the first 46 years of my life really not liking myself, really feeling like I wasn't a good person, really questioning the sanity of people that were in love with me or that were friends of mine because I had such a low opinion of myself. And it didn't matter. You know, I was guilty not of moving from one city to another, but I was guilty of moving from one person to another. That I would literally get in a relationship, I would be in a relationship for a year, and then I would start to feel that unsettled feeling. Because what happens after a year of being in a relationship? Well, you got to start working on it. It's no longer the thrill and the delight, and it's new and you're dating. Now it's just you and the person in your life. There's nothing new about it. And so all your old crap starts to show up. And that's when you got to start to do the work. And so it was about the year or the year and a half mark in almost every single relationship that I would start getting that itchy feeling. And the reason why I was getting that itchy feeling is because my past was now there. This new relationship was no longer new. And so I was no longer distracted by it. And I was going to have to deal with myself in order to be happy. And so what did I do for years? Not even just years, decades, everybody. I'm not proud to admit this, but I would literally jump out of one relationship and into another new one because another new one would distract me from the fact that I was an unhappy person. True story. And I think a lot of you who are unhappy with yourselves are looking to move jobs or looking to move the city that you live in, or you're looking to change your relationship. And the problem isn't where you live. The problem isn't your job. The problem isn't the person that you're with. The problem is how you feel about yourself.
I think relationship advice is really difficult because it just depends where you're at in your relationship, whether you're happy with it, whether you're unhappy with it, whether you've been with somebody for a long time or not. But I think there are some probably universal things that you can keep in mind to create greater love, create greater connection, create greater just frankly joy and acceptance and vibrancy and sensuality in your relationship. And the first one is to practice positive projection. What that means is you should be assuming the best about your partner and projecting positive traits and ideas onto them. Assume that they are doing their best. Assume that they are thinking of you. Assume that they are trying to do things for you. Assume that at least they're not trying to cause any harm. And this is a tough one, especially if you've been in a relationship a long time, because you've probably already discounted me and this video just because of that piece of advice, right? You say, no, Brendan, you don't understand. My person is always a bastard. My person is always trying to do this to me. They're always trying to do that to me. And look, I don't know your situation. That could be true. But what we do know from relationship science, and it is a science, and you can study communication, you can study the different ways that people connect in their intimacy, in their relationships, in their marriages, and you see over and over and over again that often one partner says something to their other partner, and that person completely blows it up in their mind with this big story about how this other person is, trying to control them. How this other person is clearly belittling them, is clearly being condescending, is clearly hurting them. But when you look at the transcripts of their conversation, you see that the partner over here really just said something very matter-of-factly. And this person who's offended drew all of their past history or some negative parts of the couple's history into that conversation and projected that onto what the person said. In fact, often in conflicts, the person who's the most angry can't remember what the other person even said. They can't recall the exact words. They just said, well, they made me feel this way. And the reality is that person didn't say anything that would, from a third-party standpoint, cue those emotions, would cue that frustration or that anger. But what we all do is we just take what's upset us in the past. We take our old patterns, our old beliefs, our old hurts and our old pains, and we bring them into our relationship with somebody. And especially in a conflict now, we think that somebody's trying to hurt us. We think that somebody's belittling us when the facts of what they said aren't that big of a deal. In other words, we blow things out of proportion because of our past, not necessarily what is being said or displayed right in front of us. So as a rule, the best thing I feel that we can do in our relationships is to practice positive projection. Just assume that the other person is there with you, for you, and in love with you. Think that, what they just said, they're not trying to offend you. They just might be in a bad place. They might be frustrated. They might be tired. They might be distracted. And don't get mad at them. Realize, hey, you know what? This person's doing the best they can. I mean, imagine if we just if we gave a little more patience to those that we loved, and we projected an assumption that they were doing their best, and that they were in love, and that they were with us, and that they were trying. I think that if you're in a relationship that matters, a relationship that's important to you, a relationship you want to stick with, you've got to start assuming better about your partner. You got to give them credit and the benefit of the doubt again, because you've probably been projecting all your negative stuff, your own fears, your own inadequacies, your old upsets, your bad beliefs into the conversations, and it's tearing you apart. So you got to figure that one out. Practice positive projection. I think the second thing we have to do is to learn to listen longer. And I know you're probably like, oh yeah, Brandon, listen, I know I gotta listen. No, I know, but people always say, be a better listener. I say, well, the essence of being a better listener is to listen longer. See, respect is really just a demonstration of listening a little longer. And I think what we have to do is train ourselves to be more patient with people, to listen to them without trying to solve their issue, without trying to input our own story, without trying to figure out the root cause of what's going on for them. I know this as a man, right? When I listen to somebody, especially a female, and she's upset about something, or she's venting about something, or she's complaining about something, or she's just speaking about something that she's very frustrated with, and it comes at me, it's easy. I'm like, I just want to solve it. I want to stop the noise, But that is not a way for me to deepen my relationships. What we have to do is allow people to vent at us a little longer without losing our patience. Matter of fact, some of my best friends in the world, I tell them the 20-minute listening challenge. When they get home, when their spouse comes up to them and starts sharing about the day and wants to talk about a bunch of things, I tell them, just weather that storm for 20 minutes. Just listen for 20 minutes. Try not to solve anything. Try to reflect back what they're saying, or just even be quiet and let them just go. And you know what the funniest thing is? After about 20 minutes, almost everybody runs out of gas. Now you say, no, my partner can talk for hours and hours and hours. That might be true, but usually when they first connect with you, when they first see you, when they haven't seen you, there's 20 minutes of stuff they want, and at the end of 20 minutes, they kind of run out a little bit, and they're like, oh yeah, so how are you? And that's when you say, oh, you know what, it was a really crazy day. Hey, would you mind if I just go get settled? Just give them the 20 minutes. Just when you pull up to your house, if you have to, just sit in the car, center yourself, then go inside the house and let them get you for 20 minutes. Just give them 20 minutes. Just give them 20. You can give them 20 minutes. You love them. Give them 20 minutes, then get yourself settled. But I think we can learn to allow people more time to talk, we start to find greater connections with people. Often we just cut them off. Often we interrupt them, we tell them what to do, and the worst thing we often do is we say, hey, you shouldn't feel that way, and here's why. Or, hey, why are you feeling that way? And we try to do some root cause analysis when really we could just allow them to express themselves and they'll find their own way. So listen longer. I think the third thing we have to do to maintain a great relationship is we gotta escape together. You gotta get out. I mean, every week you should go on a date night, or every other week, and you should every 3 months disappear. I tell people, if you've read The Charge or a lot of my work, we say, the 90-day challenge, which is every 90 days, you and your spouse, your partner, your lover, get away. Go somewhere, give the kids to somebody, give the kids to the grandparents, to the neighbors, to the babysitter, whatever you do, go away for 2 or 3 days. Those 2 or 3 days are vital. They could be, anywhere. You could do them at home. You could go to a hotel, you could go on vacation together, but every 90 days, you've got to schedule it and disappear together, where the two of you are not working, are not with the kids, are not in a place where you have the demands of your career or your work, where you can just turn off. And people say all the time, well, Brendan, sure, you can do that, but not everybody can do that. I'm like, no, everybody can do that. If you can't, if you think about it, in 3 months of time, if you can't take 2 to 3 days off with the person you love, then what kind of life have you set up for yourself? That's the question. We have a great amount of control over our lives, a tremendous amount of choice, a tremendous amount of decision, and we get to choose. What are we doing with our time? And if you set up your time so irresponsibly that you can't take 2 to 3 days off every 90 days, then it's time to reclaim your life agenda. I mean, read my book, The Motivation Manifesto, go out there, study some things on productivity, study some things on how to get your time back, make better choices for yourself, but at least decide your life. I mean, you deserve at least, if every 3 months you can't take a couple days off, what's going on with you? It's time to look at yourself, and it's time to look at your relationship. If your relationship isn't important enough to give it a couple days, once a quarter, then maybe you're in the wrong relationship, or maybe you're approaching the idea of relationships wrong, or maybe you've never prioritized your relationship, and that's why it hurts so bad. I'd say the last piece is that I think it's really important to stay in your job in a relationship. And I don't mean by your employment, right? You can quit your job, but don't quit the relationship. But what's your job in a relationship? It's to love. And it's so easy to forget that because we get mad at somebody and they didn't run the task or empty the garbage or take out the dishes. Wait, I think I got it backwards. But they forgot something and we get mad at them and we forget our job there is to love. And if you're really going to choose love over choosing your past, or you're going to choose love over fear or hurt or pain, or choose love over being, right, then you're gonna start to find something switches in that relationship, and it's a good thing. See, most people aren't choosing love, they're choosing fear. Most people aren't choosing love, they're choosing hurt. And because of that, over and over and over again, that simple choice in the relationship, they're not approaching the relationship with the intention of love. Right? If you can approach your relationship with the intention of love to say, look, I'm just gonna keep bringing joy and love and acceptance and compassion and empathy and vibrancy and sensuality to this relationship, and you're always doing that more often than you're bringing the negative stuff, that relationship will suddenly start to turn positive. It will get easier as you change your intentions to be more geared towards love. That's your job. Stay in your job in the relationship, to love this person, to make their day, to surprise them, to care for them. Stop asking so much what you're getting from the relationship and how they've done you all wrong, and start asking, what have you been doing right? What have you been doing to add value, love, energy, vibrancy, sensuality to their life? What have you been doing to love them? Ask the question, how can you deliver more love to your partner and to the world? And you might start to experience what we call the charged life.
The other day, one of my friends asked me, just what is a healthy relationship? You know, I had to scratch my head for a minute because I realized that there are many, many people who have no clue what it is, what it means, what it takes to have a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship is one you want to be in. Not one that you are in or have been in so long you don't know how to leave, or one that you're used to being in, or one that you're in out of habit or obligation or a sense of responsibility. A healthy relationship is one that you want to be in because it is good for you and the other people involved. Which brings us to the second element. A healthy relationship is one in which you feel affirmed, supported, and encouraged to be the best person you can be. In fact, a healthy relationship makes you want to be a better person. This means that you can be your authentic self, your real self, at all times with the person you're in relationship with. You have your strengths that are recognized and your weaknesses and shortcomings that are accepted, not criticized, but that you're also supported in working out and working through. You have your individual talents and interests that are supported, and your voice, your view, your needs are considered in the things that you do together. In a healthy relationship, you get to be you as you change and shift and grow without being expected to be who the other person or people need and want you to be in order to keep them comfortable. I think another sign of a healthy relationship is that there's trust, honesty, respect, compassion, forgiveness, compromise, and a shared vision, shared interest, and a willingness to practice all of those principles and live up to them to the best of your ability. A healthy relationship is also the one that you're prepared to work for and work on. Yes, a healthy relationship requires a lot of work. However, when you want to be in the relationship, when you're passionate about the relationship and its health, it won't seem like work at all. A relationship is a living thing. It needs to be nurtured and nourished. And if you want to keep the relationship healthy, you can't just sit back and wait for the good times to roll in. You need to initiate it. This means you have to look for ways to create happy memories all of the time, even if it means doing something silly that you both enjoy. Now that we have some of the elements, because this list is in no way complete, let's look at some of the ways to activate what's required for a healthy relationship. Let's start here. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Talk about who you are, because you're changing day by day, moment by moment. Talk about how you are changing. Talk about what you want and what you need. Talk about your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears. Talk about what you see and what you know. And always, always be as honest as you can. And as much as you talk, listen. Listen with your ears. Listen with your heart. Listen with your soul. And always be willing to hear something new about the other person. And never, ever, ever use what you hear as a weapon or a tool for dishonorable intentions. Stay present in your relationship. If you want your relationship to be healthy and stay healthy, then you have to be in it, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Be mindful not to allow outside responsibilities, demands, and interests to take your mind and heart and your soul out of the heart of the relationship. If your time and energy and attention is being drawn away, communicate that. Communicate what you're up to so that the other person knows and is aware, even if they don't like it or don't understand. At least they will know that you're still present.
Just want to ask about personal relationships as far as, you're going after it, your goals in life. My body is one of the easiest things. I'll tear it apart to do whatever I have to do, but it's the mental thing. You kind of get attached to, for me, it's a romantic relationship. Right. And I have certain goals I want to attain, but instinctually, I know this is going to hold me back, you know?
Well, I hate to tell you this, my friend. I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. You asked me a question. It's hard to answer this question, man, but I got to tell you the truth. You're never going to be happy 100% with anybody that you're with until you are happy with yourself 100%.
Gotcha.
So if you f around and say, "Oh, honey, I love you, I'm this and that," that you got to do is going to be right back here every day you wake up.
Right.
And then one day you'll be too old. And then one day you look at your girl and be like, "Man, I gave up this shit." So you're going to hold a grudge no matter what. So you might as well do you, finish you, make sure you feel good, and then you are totally open to a relationship. But until then, you'll always be haunted by the mere fact of, man, did I do the right thing? So I'm all about, man, you got to be 100% with yourself before you can be 100% with anybody else in your life. You got to do you, man.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy, but before that, it's time for the Best Life 30 Questions of the Day. It's not enough to just watch a video like this. You have to do something and take action in your life. So pull out your worksheets and answer these questions. And if you don't have the worksheets yet, you can get them for free by signing up for the series in the description below. Here we go. Question number 1. How can you bring more passion to your relationship? Number 2. What do you need to stop running away from? And number 3. How will you spice things up with your partner? And if you're doing the Best Life 30 challenge with me, give me a hashtag BestLife30 down in the comments as well so I can celebrate you. I think if you have a partner who doesn't support your business, you're either going to lose your business or you're going to lose your partner. It's really hard to be mission driven and want to have a successful company and be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't support you. I think there's 4 buckets that people fall into. 2 of them are negative and 2 of them are positive. The 2 on the negative side, you have a partner who just absolutely hates what you're doing. You have a partner who just doesn't believe in what you're doing. They hate it. They think you should quit. They think it's tearing down the family. They just don't want you to do anything related to that business. And that really sucks as a place to be in. You can't continue on with your business and your relationship. You have to figure out a way to make it happen. The second bucket is they tolerate it. They're not happy with it, but they tolerate it. And that's also a really tough place to be, because anytime you are struggling, anytime you're not getting results, anytime you're coming home when you're stressed out, they're gonna say, see, I told you that business, you shouldn't be doing it. They barely tolerate it, but they're not on your side. They just do it because they want you to have your thing and they love you, but they're not really on your side and they don't want it to succeed. It's a really hard spot to be in if that's you and an entrepreneur and that being your partner. It sucks. Now we move into the positive side. The next step up is they support you. They support you, they believe in what you're doing, they may not be involved in it, but they want you to be happy, they believe in your mission, they're pumped that you're off doing your own thing, and they support you in you going off and accomplishing your goal. And then the last one, which is ideal in most situations, is you have someone who's a champion. And they champion you and they want to be involved and they want to help and they want to participate and they're thinking about you and they're trying to champion your cause. And so those 4 buckets. You have to be in the last 2, in my opinion. You have to be in the positive territory with your partner, otherwise your relationship or your business will not last long term. So what can you do now? How can you move your partner from being in that negative spot to being a more positive one? I'm gonna give you a 3-step process that I think will help your business and your relationship. It looks like this: support, communicate, involve. Support, communicate, and involve. So step 1 is support. And what that means is you support them. Support them first. If you are supporting them in their career, in their ambitions, in their drive, and what they're looking for, you're much more likely to get support back on you. If you are just expecting support 24/7, but you're not giving it first, it's really hard. So if you want to get it back, you want to receive, start by giving. And so they may not want to be an entrepreneur. That may not be how you support them. But could you support them in their career? Could you support them in their friendships? Could you support them in your relationship? Like, what are they after? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? What do they need help with? Do they just need somebody to come home and listen to them for half an hour when they walk in the door? What is it? What does support look like for them? Not your version of it. You know what you want. What's their version of it? And how can you support them in accomplishing their goals, their ambitions, their aspirations? You support them first, and then you'll get a little more support on your end, I promise. Step number 2 is communicate. One of the biggest challenges with entrepreneurs is we don't often communicate to our partners what we're going through, what we're thinking about, what we're struggling with. And this is something that Nina and I struggled with early on in our relationship. Where's Nina? Nina's somewhere there. Nina's somewhere there. There's the hand. So I don't need to share what's happening in my life. I don't need to. Doesn't release any stress or tension or energy. If I'm working with something, I need to just figure it out, and then I'll get to the place where I have an answer and I'm good. Nina always wants to know what's happening in my life. She wanted to know when she came home from work, what happened with me that day. I don't even remember what happened with me that day. I have to force myself to think about what happened. And at the beginning, that caused a little bit of tension. And so I made a dedicated effort to say, okay, I'm going to think about what's happening in my life, what's happening in my business. I'm going to make an effort to tell Nina first before anybody else finds out. She'd be upset if she wasn't the first to know. So I make her the first to know. And that extra communication helps because she understands my world a little bit better. Even though she wasn't involved in my world that much, even though she didn't know much about YouTube or the things that I'm working on, she couldn't be an asset to the business yet. Just having her know, having her feel like she's involved in the problems that I'm facing at that time, make everything easier. So if there was an important YouTube update that came out or something went wrong on the channel and she knew about it, she would say, hey, do you need to go home and work on it? She understands. Now she's in my corner. So it's not the business being the negative, the business taking time away from us. My problem has become her problem, and my win has become her win. And so it allows her an entry point into my world. And so communicate. You have to communicate. You got to set the rules. You got to explain what's going on. I did an event yesterday in Indianapolis, and an entrepreneur came up at the end and was talking to me about how he feels the same way, where he's like super stressed out at work and his business, and he comes home and he has no more energy left. And then he comes and his wife wants to talk immediately about what happened to him during the day, and he just wants some time to relax. And it causes a lot of tension at home, and he's frustrated and upset that he's not bringing his best of himself at home to his relationships. So give him some advice. 1, on your way home, go with the intention of how do you want the rest of your evening to go, right? You're just going home like an accident. Go home with the intention of I want to have a great night with my wife. 2, work on communicating, explain. If you're stressed out, say why you're stressed out. Don't take it out on your partner. Go home and say what happened to you and why you're so stressed out. And by you explaining it, you're bringing her into your world. She's more likely to understand and support you. That's how you can get somebody from just tolerating what you're doing to supporting you, because they see how important it is to you, and the storytelling brings them into your world. And then 3, just a communication on that part of maybe you need 20 minutes to yourself when you come home. Maybe you set some ground rules with your wife and say, hey, I want to tell you everything. I want to explain and be fully transparent and let you into my world. When I come home, I just need 20 minutes to myself just to decompress, just to relax. And then I'm in a much better spot emotionally to be able to come and talk and share what's on my mind. Chances are she'd understand that. But you just set that up. You set that communication up before so that when you come home, it's not this giant fight every night. So step 2 in building a better relationship is communication. And then step number 3 is involving them. See what you can do to involve them into your business, into your mission, into your values, if there's a fit. So I'm filming this from an Airbnb here in Indianapolis. I made a commitment to my wife and I said, I'm going to take you to every city in North America with 1 million+ people. I did that because she liked to travel and I like meeting entrepreneurs. So how about we combine these things together? Nina loves organizing events. She loves putting on events, doing all the detail work, all that stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, but I didn't have a lot for her to do in my business, right? She didn't want to be in front of the camera. She didn't want to do YouTube stuff. Organizing events was not a big part of what I did. I do 2 events a year in Toronto, one in May, one in September, teaching people how to be thought leaders and make money from it. And she definitely helped out a lot in putting those events on and booking the restaurants and all of that stuff. She was a huge lifesaver. But it's not enough to be heavily involved. It's definitely not a full-time job. So I said, well, what if we found a way to integrate it? What if we combined your love of traveling, your love of organizing events, my love of helping entrepreneurs, and we smush all that together and we created this tour. We created this Frankenstein creation where I'm visiting in 90 days, 23 different cities. And that was a co-collaboration, right? That was a co-effort on our part to combine our missions together, what we love doing, and find a way to work together. What's going to happen in the 90 days? I don't know. Does Nina go back and get another job? I don't know. Does Nina find another path to continue on in my business? I don't know. We're going to be different people by the end of the 90 days. And so we're open to being able to do more together. And so following that 3-step process, thinking about how first you can support them on what they're doing, then thinking about how you can communicate better just to express what you're going through, and then 3, trying to figure out how can you involve them more in what you're doing, not forcing them to do something that they don't want to do, but finding an opportunity of how they can combine their passion with your mission as well. I think makes for a much better work-life integration and a happier relationship as well as a business. If you want to join the Best Life 30 Challenge and get the free worksheets, click the link right here below me. Or if you want more videos on how to have better relationships, check out the playlist right there next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.